Welcome to Dunsmuir, California, where on October 22nd, 1924, this was the view that Babe Ruth had here from home plate. Welcome to California Unearthed. Like I said, I'm in Dunsmuir, California, here at the ballpark where Babe Ruth played. We're going to look around a little bit here, but this is really cool. These grandstands still exist behind me. We'll take a look at those and show you around a little bit where Babe Ruth played here in 1924. Out here in the parking lot behind the grandstands, the native sons of the Golden West have erected a plaque honoring Babe Ruth's visit to Dunsmuir, and it reads, Dunsmuir Centennial Committee. Baseball legend Babe Ruth and his New York Yankee teammate Bob Musial played an exhibition game with local teams here October 22nd, 1924. The sign was placed here on June 14th, 1986. I'm going to go ahead and back up a little bit and show you the entire backside of the grandstands that is right here next to the road. Funny enough, I'm actually here just 6 days after the 99th anniversary of Babe Ruth being here. Today's date is October 28th. That was not planned. It was actually just a coincidence that I am here on this date, just 6 days shy. This is pretty cool. Looking down the third base line, looking down first base line. Things look a little bit different from 1924, but for the most part, this was his view. This photograph and others I'm going to share with you were taken by a local photographer, Paul Standard, and I believe he took this photograph from the pitcher's mound, seen as the players are sitting and standing in what looks like the edge of the infield, and Babe Ruth is right smack in the middle of them all. And notice the trees in the background there. There's a shot of the grandstands that still exist. Standing in front of or sitting in these historic grandstands will transport you back to a time long gone. The wooden grandstands had fallen on hard times in recent years, becoming unsafe, so in 2022 they received a makeover thanks to Mike Giacomelli, and hopefully I'm saying that name correctly. He is from Reading but grew up in Dunsmuir. A donation of lumber from Sierra Pacific and a grant written by Allison Leshevsky and a whole lot of volunteers, the grandstands were repaired to be enjoyed for decades to come. This is a real famous photograph taken by Dunsmuir photographer Paul Standard, and you can see that Babe Ruth is posing for this photograph, but if you look carefully in the grandstands, it looks like the spectators themselves are also posing for this photograph. It's kind of funny, and they may have been. But the reason why I'm showing this photograph is because it shows the grandstands in the background behind Babe Ruth, and they look exactly like they do today. Not much has changed, if anything. They've just been updated with new wood, new roofing, but for the most part, the grandstands look exactly like they did in 1924. These grandstands are pretty cool looking. All right, let's take a walk through the grandstands and show you what it looks like up there. After the disappointing end to the 1924 season, Babe Ruth and teammate Bob Musial of the New York Yankees set out on what was known as the Barnstorming Tour, which became Babe's most successful tour. They started heading west towards California on October 15th, making their first stop in Kansas City. The team would travel over 8,500 miles in just over 2 weeks. The tour consisted of 15 cities with a scheduled game in each one, where they played in front of 125,000 adoring fans. West Coast stops included Spokane, Seattle, Tacoma, Portland, San Francisco, Stockton, Santa Barbara, and Los Angeles. Babe's team won all 15 games, with the Babe hitting 17 homers. At the time, baseball rules governing exhibition tours maintained that the last game be played by October 31st, Halloween. During the tour, a few days were left open on the schedule for unexpected, impromptu exhibition games. On October 22nd, 1924, Dunsmuir became one of those such games. The Barnstorming tour made a last-minute, unscheduled stop here in Dunsmuir. The population of Dunsmuir at the time was about 2,000 residents. A deal was arranged with Dunsmuir's Lions Club, and the $1,000 asking price was paid. I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming that this is where the shower is that he showered at, underneath the grandstands. The Babe and Muesli played a 7-inning game against local talent in front of over 900 fans and curious onlookers who came out to be a part of history. For a large number of them, it would be their only opportunity and chance to ever witness Babe Ruth in action. The price of admission was $1.10 for adults, 25 cents for children, and the Babe did not disappoint, hitting 2 home runs into the pines that day. Babe Ruth greatly enjoyed his warm reception and his stay in Dunsmuir. He wrote this letter to the people of Dunsmuir, quote, "To everyone," and that means everyone in Dunsmuir, "we don't know yet how to tell you what a wonderful time we had in Dunsmuir. We've been treated royally in little towns and big cities, but when it comes to beautiful girls, wonderful fine fellows, and the real two-fisted spirit of California, little Dunsmuir gave us more laughs, more hospitality, more thrills, and more things to remember than any place between Broadway and Shasta. We did not expect to visit Dunsmuir, but believe us, we will positively be back in person." End quote. Ruth enjoyed the area so much that he returned 2 years later to go fishing on the Klamath River and also to present the championship football trophy to the local high school team in front of the theater off of Highway 99. That theater still stands today. The Babe made good on his promise. Little baseball history for you guys. You don't see grandstands like this very often anymore. Ran into one of the coordinators here at the ballpark, and he said the field is used for baseball, softball, and football. They just played their last football game here. That's why the grandstands are out there. It is set up for football. A point of personal interest, on Halloween 1924, 8 days after Dunsmuir, Babe and the Barnstorming tour stopped in my hometown area of Brea in Orange County and played their last game, where Babe Ruth actually pitched in the game. They played against Fullerton's own and Washington Senator pitcher Walter Johnson, who just came off of the 1924 World Series win. With Ruth and his team winning 12-1, it's rumored that Ruth hit the longest home run of his career into the oil fields in this game at Brea Bowl. The field no longer exists and is now homes, with home plate being in the middle of a residential street. But the building that the players changed in does still exist. It is now an automobile repair shop. A ball from that game with all the signatures sits in the Brea Museum. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of California Unearthed. I know I did. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.